been ill. I've been told it's just a mild virus. I feel mild, never mind. So this was the video I was going to do, sitting in the house by the fire, but she would have suffered. God, I feel like crap. This is yesterday's makeup, because I went into work for about half an hour, walked through the doors looking like Linda off The Evil Dead. I feel like shit. So it's not COVID, I tested for COVID, it's like it. Got home yesterday and I got my jammies on and I got my favourite hoodie on. And I wrapped myself up in a blankie, got a cup of tea, popped one of my favourite films on.
Look, Aunt Martha, men just don't get into window seats and die.
Fucking freezing. Everything I've been eating is beige. I've been eating eggs, porridge, chicken soup, toast, cheese. And to put some colour in my cheeks, I've put enough fake tan on my face and some bloody bronzer. It's almost borderline racist. So I'm going to talk today about the George Joicey Museum. It was a museum closed down in the 90s and it's now become the National Trust offices in Newcastle. And I would go whenever I was in Newcastle, I was doing shopping or anything, I would always pop in, grab a ticket and then just have a wander around. I loved it. But I did have a spooky encounter in there just once at all the times I'd been there. So I'm going to talk about that and tell a story about that. So I'm going to go down past the engine room today because I can't be asked to go up it. So yes, I'm going to talk today about a ghost that I saw in the George Joicey Museum. The only thing I can put it down to being is a ghost, because that fucker had nowhere else to go. God, I feel as rough as a badger's arse. Fucking finger ends are numb. Freezing. In this museum there was about 2 or 3 floors full of Newcastle and Gateshead memorabilia. All these rooms had different themes. One would be an Elizabethan room, one would be Victorian, and you would have mannequins in these rooms dressed in the costumes of the day and the time period. And the rooms would be dressed to that time period. I believe they've tried to redo the George Joicey Museum in the Discovery Museum, which you can go through, and you can kind of get an idea of what it was like. I have to say a vast majority of the stuff that was in the George Joicey Museum is not at the Discovery. So this room had floor to ceiling glass cabinets on either side of it. The cabinet down the bottom had a huge big glass display, floor to ceiling as well, and in that was a model of the Great Fire of Gateshead in Newcastle. Sun's in the eyes. Fuck off. Cannot see a fucking thing. If there was people in that room and they were down the bottom looking at that display, you would either have to stand in the corridor and wait for them to come out, or you would go down to the display at the bottom and you could either move left or right and then let that person back out. That's how thin and tight it was. So anyway, I'm walking along the corridor and I turn to this display room and I look down the bottom. There's a bloke standing down there and he's obviously having a good gander at the display at the bottom. So anyway, this display was actually quite popular because it was interactive. You press the buttons and it would light up red and yellow to show like where the fire would spread and where it went to, what buildings have burned, and it would make the noises of fire as well, which was quite eerie. It would crackle, and when you pressed a button it would show the house that was on fire, and it would have like crackling noises and screams. So it was fully interactive. It was pretty cool actually. So anyway, I comes to the room, walks around the corner, and there's a bloke standing down the bottom, slap bang in the middle, looking at the display. So I thought, oh, he's pressing the buttons and he's having a look. I'll just wait outside and wait for him to come out. I stood for ages waiting for him, and he was just standing staring at it. He wasn't pressing the buttons and out. And I kind of like looked at him and I thought, didn't want to be rude, but he looked like a Harry Ramp. It's rhyming slang. So he was standing there. He had this long dirty coat on with the hood up, so he like had his back to us, but he was dead tall, looked quite bulky. I'm stuck on the fucking gate. So I thought, fuck this, I'm not standing out here like a fucking div. And I started walking down towards him, and as I was walking down towards him, he started to move off to the left. So he literally would have been stuck in between two glass exhibits. So I got down to the bottom, stood slap bang in the middle, because all the buttons are in front of us, and I thought, he wasn't pressing the buttons, I don't think he realises that it lights up. So I started pressing the buttons, and it's lighting up, and the fire's crackling, the screams and everything, and I thought, see, he probably didn't even realise that was happening. And as I turned to look at him, he was gone. He didn't come past us. There was no way he could have come past us other than barging through us. There's no door there because it was literally there. And I kind of started to back out of the room slowly, keeping my eyes straight down the bottom. Dogs chucked mud all over us. This bloke just vanished, and there was no other reason for it. He must have been, but he was as solid as anything. He looked like a normal person, but he just vanished. And then I found something out. Ooh. Good. So maybe the bloke down at the bottom wasn't wearing a dirty big coat. Maybe it was like a monk's robes. What I saw that day was a monk.